So, in this session, we are going to talk about this poem, Still I Rise, which is by Maya Angelou, who's an American poet and a civil rights activist. So, before we analyze the complete poem, the first thing we should focus on is the title. The title is Still I Rise. So, now, what is this still? Still probably refers to despite. Despite some hardships, despite some problems in her life, she is still rising. So, this directly here points out to some kinds of hardships in her life. When I talk about this I, when I look at this can have multiple meanings. It can refer to Maya Angelou herself. I'll just write MA for it. It can refer to the black community. I'll just write it in short. Third, it can refer to black women, because you need to remember that Maya Angelou was also a feminist. So, black women. It can also refer to her ancestors who had faced the problems of being oppressed, right? So, these are all the possible things that I can refer to. Not only does I have a very particular niche in the Black history, but it is also relevant right now. It can also be used for any kind of oppression or suppression. Let's write suppression. So it can refer to any kind of suppression which is valid even in the modern times. So these are 4 to 5 different analysis of this word I alone. After that, we have this word here, which is rise. Now, this rise too can have multiple meanings. Rise can probably uh, say that how the poet has risen above all the suppression that she was facing, right? So it can probably, and after someone rises from the bad happenings, the bad times in their lives, they feel resilient, that nothing can shake them anymore. And they can also probably feel progressive in their thoughts. So they can be pretty progressive in their thoughts now they have forgotten all the bad stuff. Not really forgotten, probably forgiven, maybe, we don't know. But they have moved on from it and now they are thinking about the future. So that is why she has risen above it. Also, they can talk about moral superiority. So being morally better than others, because she has done no harm to anyone. She has been good all her life, right? So she has hurt no human being. So she, of course, feels that she is morally much superior to others, to the white suppressors. So these are the small contexts of the title that you can think of when you're analyzing the complete poem. Now, moving on to the first stanza that we have, you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Now, the first paragraph you need to see that it starts with a you. So, probably it's some conversational tone. She is talking to someone. It's actually very confrontational. So, she is confronting someone. So, it's a very confrontational tone. You may write me down in history. Now, if you see this modal verb may that has been written, it is a modal verb. This shows the possibility and the power. The power of writing her down in history. If you see this me again can have multiple meanings. She can be Maya Angelou herself, the black community, the black women and sisters, or any kind of oppression or suppression which is relevant right now. So you may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. Now, if you see with this line, this word bitter, twisted has a very strong consonant beginning to it. Bitter, twisted. So when we read that, all the attention is drawn here. Bitter, twisted lies. And what is the role of using these kind of heavy consonants? Is to attract the attention of the reader. So once our attraction has been built, she furthers her cause by saying that you may write me down in history. And now this history is probably written by the dominant, oppressive white men. And of course, they are going to write negative uh, about the blacks. After that, you may trod me in the very dirt. So again, there's a reference to you, which is probably to the white uh, oppressors. You may trod. Now, this trod can be looked as a metaphor for one community to hamper or to overcome other community in such a bad manner that they could never rise. So you may trod me in the very dirt means you would probably be so oppressive and so behave badly with me that you may want to do this to me, but still like dust I'll rise. So if you see, she has compared herself to dust also, like dust. So she is like dust that she will rise. Now this, if you see, there is, I would say, a link to nature, which shows that she, just like nature, is very free spirited, right? So like nature, she is free. Nobody can put hands on nature, nobody can restrict nature, nobody can mold nature. So just like it, she cannot be molded down, right? And if you see throughout this passage, throughout this stanza, there is a very defiant tone. The tone is that of defiance, of speaking back to the white oppressors. Also, there is one more allusion that you can refer to, and that is an allusion to the Bible, according to one of the interpretations. So, it can be alluded to the fact that in the Bible it has been said that all human beings are created out of dirt, and after death they are going back to dirt. So she sort of had, I'm just saying it very lightly in a very light manner, but I'm sure that it has some deeper meanings and aspects to it. But here in the poem, these last two lines, if you see, you may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. So she was born from dirt, and that's where even whites, uh, Americans, Africans, Indians, French, everyone, all human beings are created equally. They were supposed to be created equally, and they were supposed to be equal in the eyes of God, right? And whenever they will die, they will return back to death. They will return back to dirt. So everyone, because they are created equally and they will return back to dust again, they would be dust. She sorts of she sort of tells her oppressors that we all are equal. It's not that you are someone who's superior to me or I am someone who's inferior to someone. And you cannot dominate me or my community, and you cannot bully me like that. So this is one of her points that she is trying to make here. Now, moving to the next part, does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. So, by reading this stanza, you would really feel that there is a tone of her being really bold and confident in herself. So this is the tone of this stanza. But she's also using some rhetorical questions right here, as if she's trying to instigate the oppressor that she's talking to. So also, besides being very bold and confident, she has a very antagonistic and sarcastic tone. So she has very antagonistic and sarcastic tone, almost as if she is trying to instigate the oppressors, right? She's trying to angry them in a manner. Cause I walk like I've got oil wells. Now see, I walk. Walk is usually a symbol of confidence. How you walk represents who you are. So confidence, so she has some confidence as if she has got oil wells. Now, oil wells is a symbol of wealth, right? So she walks as if she has oil wells in her living room. Now, she has such kind of confidence, which is her wealth. So here she basically wants to say that her confidence is her wealth. It's a simile. She has made a comparison of her confidence with the oil wells. Pumping in my living room. So, my is a possessive pronoun. So, the use of this possessive pronoun is to establish that something belongs to her own self. It is not something which has been produced from outside, but rather something that has come from within herself. So my living room is more like a symbol or a metaphor for her own self, her being. So her confidence has come out of her own being. It is not something that she has been inspired with, or it's not something external. It is something that is from within herself. Moving on to the next stanza. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. So in this stanza, once again, if you see, there is a lot of comparison with the natural resources like moons, suns, tides. So again, she has used similes to connect herself to nature, and basically it shows how her freedom is just like nature, unrestricted. Just like hopes springing high. Now, here hopes represents her confidence. Just like her confidence, which is springing high. Now, this is a personification here. So, just like her hope is springing really high, she is all about self empowerment. All the courage that has come to her, it's from her own. And then again, she says, still I rise. So again, just the zenith of her confidence is there. So the next stanza. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Now, once again, if you look, there are rhetorical questions. Again, there's that tone of instigating the oppressors, right? She is trying to sort of, I would say, make them angry, right? So she is asking them these questions so that these people can get angry. It's more like accusations by this point. And if you see, did you want to see me broken? This whole paragraph is basically talking about the desires of the oppressors, because it's the oppressors who want to see her broken, the oppressors who want to see her bowed head and lowered eyes, and they want to see her in tears, right? So that is the whole desires of the white oppressors that she is talking about. Basically, these oppressors, they want to shatter the black community, they want to shatter their self image, right? But the rhetorical questions that Maya Angelou has put forward is actually she wants to establish and reinforce the fact that she is someone who loves herself despite whatever situations she is put into. And she is actually happy to become such rebellious person that she can pen down these thoughts. Also, if you would see in this whole paragraph, the words like broken, bowed head, lowered eyes, shoulders falling, teardrops, weakened, soulful cries, all these are images of shame, sadness, and weakness that has been shown. Right? So these are some images that she has referred to, but again, she is not someone who would be bowed down by all these things. She instead wants to give a very hard reply to her oppressors. In the next paragraph, does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard? 'Cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. Now, if you would just see, it is a pretty sarcastic tone just by reading these first two lines. Does haughtiness offend you? Does my rebelliousness offend you that I think so superior about myself that I'm happy? Does my happiness offends you? Don't you take it awful hard? So again, you would see there is mockery and there is sarcasm that you can notice here. So she is trying to make a sarcastic remark to her oppressor that whatever, if I'm so happy, does that offend you? Because I laugh like I've got gold mines. Now, again, if you just see the last to last paragraph that we read, where we talked about the oil wells, it's the same thing. Gold mines represent her confidence. Also, you need to remember that this confidence was generated by her own self, digging in my own backyard. So, in her own being is the confidence, it's self confidence, it's self love that she is talking about right here. Also, if you see that this paragraph, it's a complete contrast of the previous paragraph. Because in the previous paragraph, there were constantly words that were of shame, sadness, weakness, all the negative words. But here, it's completely opposite. It's talking about all the happy things, all whatever is related to happiness, and how she is happy and how she is confident. And that concludes this paragraph. In the next stanza, we see, you may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Now, if you first notice, first of all, the usage of these three lines, this repetition, which we also saw in the first and the second stanza, it is called anaphora, which is the repetition of a few words so that it can causes so that it can cause I'm sorry so that it can cause reinforcement that you may do this to me, you may do that to me. Again, it is a repetition of the permissions and the capabilities that an oppressor might have on probably the black community in this specific poem. Let me write. So capabilities, right? So you may shoot me with your words, you may kill me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness. Now, if you see in these three lines, she has given a list of things that an oppressor can do to a person, to the one who he is, suppressing. So he can shoot with his words, cut, and kill. Right? So these three are very violent, harsh, and I would say damaging language that has been used by her. So the whole purpose of using these language is to evoke emotions. So she is trying to evoke those emotions. She is trying to escalate these emotions into something which is very violent, because throughout the Black history, we can see that there is a lot of reference to violence and killings and shaming people to a certain degree. Right, this listicle that she has made right here, it looks like a list. Number one, you may shoot me with your words. Number two, you may cut me with your eyes. Number three, you may kill me with your hatefulness. Now this list basically shows some kind of relentless pressure. There's this pressure that has been created, right? So, and relentless mean something that is going on, relentless, without stopping. So there's this uh, ongoing pressure that has been created here, right? And through anaphora, the violence and the discrimination has been highlighted, right? It has been highlighted to its zenith, to its top. But still, then she uses this word, but despite all of this, despite the most harsh word, despite the harshest things that you can do to me, like air, I'll still rise. Now, if you see, in all the previous paragraphs, she was talking about like dust, which is still somehow, closer to the ground. But now she has risen beyond that level, and she is now elevated like air. So throughout the poem, we can see that she began from words like, from referring to herself with words like dust and dirt. But now she has actually risen to another pedestal of air. So just like air, she will rise. The next paragraph, does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? This next paragraph is really interesting because it talks about feminism. Now, the poet is talking first about being suppressed as a black person and second as a woman. So she has been doubly suppressed, you can say. So she again is asking some rhetorical questions just to anger her oppressors. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise? Are you surprised to see that someone you have suppressed so much can be so happy, can be really confident in herself, can be very rebellious? Does it surprise you? That I dance. Now, dance is one action word, it's a verb that shows the free nature of a person. That I dance like I've got diamonds. Now, once again, just like oil wells, it shows wealth. That being free is her wealth. At the meeting of my thighs. Now, if you see in each stanza, she says my backyard. Then she moves on and says my living room, which is more personal than a backyard. And then finally she says thighs, which is, I would say, the most personal thing. So how she is changing her tone right from the stanza 1 till now. So, all in all, she is just trying to say that it's not just that because she is a black person and a woman on top of that, that she is feeling confident. She feels that, there's a need for her to speak. But she says that it is because that she is black and because that she is a woman that she has all this confidence in herself. Because she is not morally corrupt. She is morally superior to them, right? She has done nothing bad in her life. The next stanza says, out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I am a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Now, in this part, really, it says, out of the huts, history's shame. Now, if you read this first line, it has this s sounds, history, huts, histories, shame. This S sound is giving us a very shushed sounds. Shushed can be related to something like shame. So it has what we call alliterations. When we have similar sounds going across the whole sentence or probably in the subsequent words, that is an alliteration. So we can find that alliteration here, which sort of resonates with the shame and shushed nature. But she has still risen from that past, which was actually very deeply rooted. This word rooted, just like the roots, how they penetrate deep inside the ground. So that pain has been rooted deep within the hearts, probably, of the Black community. It's deeply, you can say, embedded. Right? And then she says again, I rise. Now, if you notice in this stanza, from this stanza, in fact, I rise and I rise. Before it was I will rise. From future tense, it is now present tense that I rise. This shows the increase in her confidence. There's a shift of tense. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide. Now, again, there's a reference to a natural element, which is an ocean, but now it's not just any ocean, it's a black ocean, which talks about her community, her black community. So, she's a black ocean, and also, if you see previously in the previous stanzas, she was constantly saying, I'm like dust, I am like dirt, things like that. She was using like, she was using similes, but now she has used a metaphor here, and it is a pretty direct correlation. I am a black ocean. Now she is certain. This shows her certainty and the increase in confidence that has been happening right from stanza 1 till this stanza. And she is leaping and she is wide. Again, this shows her freedom, how free, just like an ocean she is. Welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Now, she is welling and swelling just like the tides. Probably this can also be a reference to her political activisms and the things that she was standing for, because she was also a civil rights activist. So probably she is swelling in the tide because she stood for so many political things, and she is trying to make a change like that. So it's sort of a metaphor, you can say, for social movement. A metaphor for social movement. Now also, if you will see, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, and all of this, all of these words are related to ocean and the tides of the ocean, which shows that there is fluidity and um, there is some sort of I would say um, motion that's smooth, and that what it represents. This represents her state of mind as well. Next stanza, and I think this is the final one, it says, leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. So once again, she has used um, symbols of nature like nights and daybreaks, right? So she is leaving behind the nights of terror and fear. So something that she is leaving behind, there is a hope. It is a complete contrast from the previous paragraphs. She has a hope. And she says that I rise. Again, there's present tense. She is rising. She has probably left all of that behind. She is rising into a daybreak. probably this shows a contrast again, night versus day. It's that contrast that's wondrously clear. So something that's clear, daybreak is clear. Now there's no darkness anymore. Now it's all light. I rise, bringing the gift my ancestors gave. Whatever the struggles her ancestors have probably borne, she is talking about that. She is talking about the power that they have given her. She is really proud of her heritage. So there is also alliteration again, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. Again, a sense of alliteration, which helps to reinforce that how proud she is, right? So it's for being proud of her heritage, of her black culture, of her community, of being a woman. She is proud of all those things. And these are the things who have given her the sense of pride and strength and confidence. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. So now she has taken it on her to be the dream and the hope of the slave, that now we are going to get the respect that we deserved. I rise, I rise, I rise. There is a repetition. This repetition is called a refrain, which basically shows that there is a continual progress and overcoming of barriers of a racist society. She is continuously from all the challenges rising, rising, and rising. Now discussing the structure of the poem, we can say that it has 7 quatrains, which is 4 line paragraphs, 1 sestet, 1 6 line paragraph, and 1 9 line stanza. Right? So there are 3 different forms of the paragraphs or stanzas. Now, why is this shift in the length? There can be multiple reasons. What I could infer was it could probably be an unexpected reaction of Angelo, probably, right? How she was not expected to be this confident, to be this verbal. But this shows some kind of unexpected reaction from her side. This could be one, right? So I'll just write unexpected reaction from Maya Angelou. Second one could be that how she wants to refuse to conform to the black community. To the black community. Which means that black community is usually seen as a very stereotypical community who are very restricted and who are very limited. Um, so basically, she probably wants to set herself free and use different line lengths in each stanza. So she does not want to limit herself. Third part could be her refusal to give in. She just does not want to give in. Right? After that, you would see that there is a shift of the tone after stanza number 8. Before stanza 8, she was using a lot of similes. So these similes shifted to metaphors. And there was one more thing. Her future tense shifted to present tense, which shows her constant increasing of confidence with each stanza that she has been talking about. Also, if you would see that there was a shift of the rhyme scheme. In the quatrains, it was A, B, C, B. In the sestet, it was A, B, A, B, C, C. And in the 9-line stanza, it was A, B, A, B, B, C, C, and A, A, A. Right? And why is this shift? Why is this shift in the rhyming scheme as well? According to me, it can have two things. First of all, it is building the climax, right? Building the climax. So that right from the beginning, she is saying that you may do this to us, you may do that to us. And now the climax is that no matter what you do, I have risen well. I have so much confidence in myself that I would not take any suppression from anyone, right? And she has made it a point that she is going to stand for her community. And even in her real life, she has been uh, revolutionary when it comes to uh, protests and civil right movements, and different other kinds of movements that protects the rights of people, right? So she has been a very important uh, person in that point of view as well. Also, I feel that again it talks about how she is free to choose her own rhyming scheme. Also, the building confidence in her right from the beginning, because these four line stanzas, they show the beginning. In the middle it changes to six liners, and finally it is the nine lines, which shows how her confidence is also rising with her. And that's it. That's all about the structure of the poem as such.